Hello again, everybody. It's me, Elizabeth. It's been ages, I know. I've just been kind of in and out of good and bad places, going on just a lot of anxiety and not a lot of inspiration for videos lately. So, but lately I had kind of like a thing. I don't know. I had been watching a lot of videos on YouTube and gotten into kind of a bit of a weird habit of watching a lot of doll repaint videos. So it's something that I may be exploring in the future. Maybe, we'll see. But right now, a couple days ago, OfHerbsAndAltars, aka Dorian, posted a video about their time entering into the goth scene, first going to clubs, first shows they went to, and a lot of just basically like first kiss, all that stuff kind of came about from going to the club. So I felt like a lot of it was so just incredible. It was relatable. Dorian was going through a lot of this stuff around the same time that I was being new to the scene and going through a lot of the same stuff. So I was thinking about it. I'm like, might be a good idea, and I even left a message to Dorian saying that, of course, I truly enjoyed their video, and I wanted to perhaps do a similar video of my own goth growing up, baby bat, new experiences, things like that. And I feel like, while probably not as free as Dorian was to kind of do whatever they wanted, I had a lot of freedom too, despite my mother being very devoutly Catholic. And like, my father was Christian, but I think he was a lot of the reason why I got to do some of the things that I got to do when I'm pretty quite early, honestly. So in high school, there's always a whole bunch of little like bands and stuff. Everybody's got their projects. Everybody's working on music. So you got all like the metal guys. They were like the popular guys in my high school. There were like 3 or 4 of them just with long hair and all so cute to die for. All the girls were in love with them, and they were all in this like classical guitar class, and I was in there with them too, even though I had no idea what I'm doing, and I'm so bad playing guitar. But I still went in there because I needed like another credit, and I ran out of like choir classes because that was like my big thing in school. So I got into the guitar class because I wanted to be with all the cute boys, even though they weren't really all that interested in me, because I was like, I'm the fat girl. I've always been the fat girl most of the time. At least in that time. I don't know how it is now, but in that time it's like people picked on us. People didn't really want to date the fat girl, So anyway, I did though, however, try to make friends with these guys, and through becoming acquainted and friendly with these boys, got a lot of these little ticket type things to go to this all ages rock club called the White Rabbit. Now, I've been pestering my parents. I wanted to go. My friend's band's gonna play. I want to go see them. Yada yada yada. All that stuff that you do as a teenager. And it's kind of like, yeah, I guess you can go, but you gotta, maybe if your sister takes you, And we were at like a special point in time. My sister had just gotten her own car, her first car, and she was getting a little bit of popularity because, she's in high school and she has a car. She was cool, at least for like, it was like a microcosm of time. She was really cool for a little bit. So my parents said, hey, you can go if your sister can go, and we just kind of couldn't. It was like one of those moments of like, click, I can get her to take me, and she'll go because she's gonna want to go and hang out and have fun too. So we ended up going a couple of times out to this place, and I mean, really that first time was just like, oh my god, like you go in there like with no experience of what music, what clubs are like, what live music is like, because we only had very few little experiences when we were kids. I know when I was in, I want to say first grade or so, we went to go see New Kids on the Block, but we were so young, my sister and I, And we began to cry because we were tired, and it was loud, and it was dark, and we didn't want to be there. Although we were excited to go, we just didn't understand what we were getting ourselves into. And then a few years later, I think when we were at least when I was in middle school, we got to go see, my dad wanted to go see Paul McCartney and Wings, and we got to go see that, but we did the same thing. Like, we wussed out before the concert even really got going. We didn't get to stay for the whole thing. And I feel really bad about doing that to my parents, but, you know, we got older, and, I mean, so about in, 1999, 2000, I guess 1999, my sister and I started going to this local club called the White Rabbit. It was an all ages, like, just, live music venue. Generally did a lot of, like, rock music, so they were doing a lot of what was popular, you know, like new metal and alt rock and grunge and other things, whatever could squeeze in got in there, really. And it was very exciting to go and see, you know, our classmates and stuff go and be on stage. And I think what was kind of like a turning point, and I hope I'm not giving them too much credit. I mean, I'd already been spending time on the internet looking up stuff about goth. I was already curious about it right around when I was, you know, getting to be 14, 15, 16. I was curious, I was looking into it. We were seeing Marilyn Manson everywhere, and the news was declaring him goth, and I didn't really understand what that was or what that meant until I started really doing some research. And there were a lot of little satire. I don't know if it was supposed to be satire or if it was, I think most of it was kind of satire, meant to be humorous, meant to be joking. There was something called, I think it was called Instagoth Kit, and there was like there was several pages within this site. The Instagoth Kit, the Insta Cybergoth, and the Insta Rivet Head, which had like a picture with their anatomy of a goth, of a, you know, cybergoth, and a rivet head, pointing out different details of what they're wearing. Like, you know, cybergoth had like the boots for stomping stuff, and, you know, the goth had like the pointy shoes for, I don't know, just whatever, like the pointy shoes, and then the rivet heads with their, you know, with their Doc Marten-esque boots and stuff. The various little things that made them, you know, what they were. And then it would list music acts associated to each style. So like the classic, like, Instagoth page listed like the cliche goth bands that everybody pretty much knows. Sisters of Mercy, Susie and the Banshees, Bauhaus, and Christian Death, and a few others. But, like, it was meant to kind of poke fun at, like, how some goths were kind of cookie cutter in their image, their style, and their tastes. And then the same thing about cybergoths being like the Envy Nation, and Pacte de Berserk, and, you know, so, you know, to that effect. I know it's probably not, like, I'm probably not remembering exact, but it was to that effect, that each one had their bands that they, you know, or their musical acts that reference their style, right? And honestly, it helped me as a teenager who knows nothing about what goth really is, or what the music is, you know, other than seeing pictures online of what goths are supposed to be, and, you know, coming into it as, like, you know, learning about, like, beginning to learn about it as a 12, 13-year-old at Marilyn Manson's peak, with, as he's put out Portrait of an American Family and then Antichrist Superstar, you're beginning to think, like, oh, this must be goth. He's like a super goth guy. But you learn over time and through looking things up that he's not really, he's considered shock rock, and he's doing this, obviously. I kind of feel like Marilyn Manson is a very smart guy, that he's found an image to kind of exploit to make money, and it's done really well. It's made him a lot of money. And, you know, good for him. Honestly, like, not the hugest fan, but I can see what he was doing. So, anyway. So with the internet kind of teaching me what, you know, kind of the classic goth bands were, I was going into the White Rabbit, and there were bands that I was seeing there, and there was a main stage room where all, like, the bigger, you know, more well-known acts and even touring bands would go and play at. And then there was like a side room they called the jam room, where there was like a very low stage and kind of a more intimate little environment where smaller, lesser known groups could go play. And I went in there, and there was a band called Emily's Gone Mad. This is, of course, a local band, San Antonio. They played for years and years and years, honestly, and did really, you know, I think that they put a lot into the scene. They did great. But they were, they had their own style, but I remember at the moment seeing the singer and thinking, oh my god, he looks like Marilyn Manson. Because I was like 16, I didn't know what I was thinking, what I was looking at, or what else to reference, you know? He looks like Marilyn Manson. He's so hot. Oh my god. And the music to me sounded like some weird blend of Bauhaus and something else. Like, I didn't know what to call it. But they definitely had their own style, and it heavily like began to kind of like push further into my influence into this goth stuff. And I started, every time they play, I started going and seeing them every single time. And if I can get some permission from them, I'll put some of their music in the video, but I'll talk to them before I do that. But anyway, I love them. They were like one of my favorite things. They've since kind of retired from that, and the singer went on to have another project, and then that ended, and now he's just kind of doing his own solo stuff, and he might have another band coming up, which is great, and I love seeing him perform. Like, he was fantastic, and really the singer and the bass player have become like friends, acquaintances, long time, like people that I've known a long time that I do consider like friends, almost familial in a way. But anyway, that said, between them and learning about some of the classic goth bands and stuff, I started wearing like more black. Really, I had started wearing black actually like in middle school, and for the dumbest reasons. I was wearing just black jeans and black t-shirts, and trying to find band t-shirts and stuff to wear in middle school, because there was a boy I liked, and he always wore like Megadeth and Metallica t-shirts and stuff. Mostly Megadeth, really, and that made me go look into Megadeth and start buying their albums, and that's why I started dressing in black, because there was a boy in middle school that I had like a huge crush on, and I was trying to get him to notice me, and it never really happened, but that's okay. It led into, as I got into high school and I was beginning to look into goth stuff, it led into me further changing my wardrobe, and I began wearing black lipstick. But I'd wait until I got out to wherever I was going, and then I'd put the black lipstick on. I wouldn't do it at home, because my parents would have freaked. So, I mean, there were some things that I had to do pretty secretly, privately. Like, if I wanted to be a little bit more risque, like wear a corset, I'd wear a t-shirt over it and take a large purse with me wherever I was going, and then whenever I got there, I would take the t-shirt off and put it away and have my corset on. And I did that maybe about when I started to get to be like 17 or 18. I started doing that more often, until I got to a point where I introduced the idea of corsets and stuff to my parents. And initially, I think my mom was really initially unhappy with me dressing in a lot of black and wearing dark makeup, and she probably thought I was looking pretty bad. And over time, she began to, she got used to it, she began to accept it, and she even started buying me like black things. Like, she knew what I was going to wear, so she started buying me things that I would wear, so that it's nice that it got to a point where she began to accept it. And even times when she would look at me and say, "Oh, you look really cute today," with my collar and my fishnets and stuff, fishnet shirt. But there was one day, and it was such a weird thing to be called this. Like, I had somebody call me a goth one day, and that's what kind of pushed me over the edge and start like, oh, I'm a goth now, because somebody called me a goth. Somebody else called me a goth, so I'm a goth now, okay? I'm a goth now. When I was like, maybe 16 or 17, I guess I must have been 17. I'd been going to the club for a little while, like 17, and I was really interested in getting into the goth thing, and I didn't really know how to start myself into it. And somebody one day saw me in black shirt and black jeans and dark makeup, you know, with my long, I had this long dark brown hair, and I just realized I still have my hair tied up, so I'm gonna actually take my hair down. But I mean, so I had this like long black hair, and this guy looked at me and he said, you know, what are you, some kind of goth? Like I thought you were like some kind of, like, I think, or something like that, like something to the effect of like calling me, saying that I looked real goth in what I was wearing, and I thought that was really funny, you know. and then I was like, well, because like I was wearing like black jeans, like not even the way that like skinny jeans have became popular in the, you know, in the late 2000s. Well, they're like the 20-teens, I guess. After 2010, skinny jeans became very popular. They weren't popular at that point, so we had like relaxed fit jeans, boot cut relaxed fit jeans. In my boot cut jeans and my whole t-shirt, not even like a goth band, just it was like the silver logo with hole across it, written in like a red, but with like that Barbie text. So I'm wearing a whole t-shirt, and the guy's like, oh, you're so goth, and I'm like, I guess I am. And I took him seriously, and I started like kind of looking into style and trying to learn about what I could wear. And now as a girl who wore, you know, 1X, 2X, even sometimes 3X, depending on where I was going and stuff, at that time my options were limited, and I'd end up having to, like, I couldn't do like all the new goths and just go to Hot Topic and buy a full outfit and walk out and be like, I'm a goth now. You know, walk in like just the mall goth, just like walk in and walk out with an outfit. It wasn't that easy. I had to kind of accumulate things over seasons from like Lane Bryant, because that was my only option. And occasionally I might find something in Hot Topic that was useful. Or like, you know, I'd get like the accessories, like the, you know, the collars and bracelets and all sorts of other things from, you know, Hot Topic. And then everything else I would have to buy online. I was doing like a lot of like being resourceful and shopping on eBay and whatever I could do to put an outfit together, and get corsets from Fredericks of Hollywood, which those things, they look cute, but they are not meant to be worn for 3 or 4 hours at a time, or 5 hours, or however long you're going to be at the club. They're not designed for you to wear for a long time. They're meant for, like, I mean, they're sexy things meant to be worn for a little while and then taken off. You know, so those were incredibly uncomfortable, but I'd still buy them and I'd wear them because I thought it looked hot. And I was a dumb kid. But, so, what got me going to the goth clubs, once I decided that I was a goth, I started hanging around in goth chat rooms on Yahoo and other websites. There was something called like WB chat or something. I can't remember. But there was a chat room from way back in the day that we went to, that I would go to with my friends, and I'd like the goth chat and then the Manson chat, and go and hang out in each of these little channels. And then eventually it switched over to Yahoo, and we had to go find the goth chat in Yahoo. And while I was there, a local person who called himself Filthy, who was the typical goth guy with long hair and wore, you know, black leather jackets and stuff like that, messaged me and invited me to go to this, you know, goth night at a local place. It's kind of a restaurant / music venue area with a stage and everything. It's called Sam's Burger Joint. And it was this, I mean, the music hall they have attached to is actually pretty sizable. And they had a bar, like a bar, but it was mostly just like a beer bar. And here in Texas, for even, I think, honestly, you know, maybe they had mixed drinks. They might have had mixed drinks. They probably did, I just don't remember. But here in Texas at the time, the age limit was 17 and up for an alcohol serving, like for an alcohol bar, for a full bar environment. So, So I got my best friend at the time, my friend Heather, and we got together and headed out to this place. And there, Filthy, when I found Filthy and said, hi, like, hey, we're here. And I had no idea what other world we had just stepped into. I didn't know what I was going to see once we got in there. I didn't know what to expect. We were really new to this. We didn't really listen to a lot of the stuff that was, I guess I didn't know what was popular or what they were going to be playing. I didn't know it was going to end up being like this synth pop and industrial stuff. I was kind of prepared for more like goth rock stuff. And that's not exactly what was going on. Once we got through the doors, it's this like throbbing electronic stuff going on, and Filthy immediately introduces me to this wonderful person, this friend of, who's been like a friend of mine since then, really, Kelly, who is this sweet as heck, bald gay man, always dressed like perfectly button-down shirts and slacks, but he always looked great, And Kelly comes up, and he must have already been a little bit drunk, and he's in just this great mood. He's like, hi, welcome to our club, and we like Wumpscut and Wolfsheim here. And I was like, I had no idea what he was talking about, and I'm like, okay, great. Nice to meet you, Kelly. And yeah, and then Kelly like went off and did whatever he was doing, and we kind of walked in there kind of scratching our heads like, what is this? What did we just walk into? So, I mean, it was great though. I mean, after we kind of like put our thoughts back together, we went in and kind of started just like dancing together, trying to get the rhythm of the music and trying to get into it. And it was really something new. It was something else. Like, after having been going to the White Rabbit so much and seeing all these rock bands and metal bands and all this stuff, it was just like something like fresh air, I guess. Just something new. And we're in this like, obviously like smoky, like just, well, no, I guess the smoking laws were just beginning to come in place, even though I think at that point people were still smoking cigarettes in the club. Lots of people with their cloves and stuff, and all these just beautiful goths all over the place. And while I know Dorian mentioned everybody kind of sees that one goth queen at some point or another, honestly, what I met through being there was an actual I guess elder goth. Even at the time, she would have been considered elder goth, because she was much older than just about everybody there, but she took care of everybody. All the young people would come in, and she was like the den mother, I guess, in a way, and she would give me suggestions on how to do eyeliner. I can't even remember what her name was. She was this sweet older blonde woman who would wear, obviously in her goth clothes and stuff, but she would talk to us about like, okay, if you're gonna put on lipstick, get a good eyeliner. If you're going to use like the crappy Halloween lipstick, get a good eyeliner and line your lips and fill it in a little bit with that eyeliner, and then put the lipstick over it so you get the effect. Like if the lipstick's kind of glossy and you want that effect, that'll do that, and then the eyeliner will help the lipstick to stay all night. Or always do pencil liner before you do your liquid liner, or else it's not going to last. She was teaching me all these different little things. I got to meet a wonderful fellow who did vampire fangs locally, who unfortunately isn't doing that anymore, but oh man, if they did, I missed my chance to get a set done. I think they were just like $50 and you could get a full set, done, at least the top, set for $50. And they would do them, we'd have like little goth conventions that we'd continue to have at this Sam's Burger joint, where they would go and he'd set up a little booth, and people could just get their fangs done right there while we were partying away, And what else? I mean, after a while, there was a point where we had 2 goth clubs, so I could go to like a goth night on Friday night and then a goth night on Saturday night at 2 different places. And then after, like, I don't know, there was just some kind of like competition and just static between the people who had been doing the original Goth Night that split into two places. But eventually it turned into just this one place. That the other place didn't last very long, unfortunately. So it became like one venue called Sin 13 that was our big club for years and years out here. It was our little home. And I guess I'd say if anybody was that enigmatic, beautiful goth queen, for me, it would be Veronica. She was the one that ran Sin 13 alongside Kelly, who was the bartender, and Eli, who was the DJ, who I guess Veronica and Eli had been in a relationship at that point, which of course didn't last, but you know, sometimes things just aren't meant to be that way, but I don't know. But they still managed to run the club together, and you know, it was a real powerhouse for goth nights and for bands, and I had some luck with winning tickets. I won free tickets to go see Ministry. That was the first time I ever got to see them. That was fantastic. And I mean, I got to see, just like, there were a lot of things that I got to see and do there, and I feel like that was our little home for as long as it was there. And I would be out almost. I would be out so they'd have like a goth night like on Saturday. So we'd go to like 80s night on Friday, then goth night on Saturday, and if there were concerts, we'd go and make sure we made it to that concert night. And maybe if there was something I didn't want to do there, I might go to the White Rabbit. But the White Rabbit really was my place for the first 2 years or so while I was starting to go out and go to clubs. And then when I started going to goth nights, that became my place. And the White Rabbit kind of faded into the rear view, and I stopped going. So I mean, this was really my life from the time that I was 16 until I was 20, I'd say. At 20, about 2002, 2003, I guess it must have been 2003. It was just before it was the year I turned 21. I left Texas and I moved to California, and I was there for 8 years. And it was a small town. I didn't really get a chance to, there was nowhere to go, there was no goth stuff, we didn't have anything to do there. And it ended up being a very boring thing for us, you know. And I don't know, but that's where we were, you know. But these are just kind of the experiences that I had while I was doing that. I mean, there's so many so many things that I got to do, that I feel like going out to the clubs. And I mean, just, I don't know, I didn't have a first kiss out there. I didn't have my first sexual experience related to what was going on at the club. I did have my first one night stand related to stuff going on at the club, but you know, I think everybody ends up doing that when they're going out too much. Apologies right there for the interruption and maybe the change of angle or anything else that's going on with the video here at this point. My camera battery died in the middle of that last part, so I'm just going to pick it up from right around where I was and continue. Had to change to my cell phone, so quality, aspect ratio, whatever, anything that changed, it's because of that, I hate to say. And I got a little thirsty. Initially, for the first year, I'd say that the White Rabbit was home away from home. And then once I started going to the goth clubs and then Sin 13 opened up, it became like my home away from home. And I'd spend just a lot of time there. I made friends. We'd go and do all sorts of wild stuff together. And it was just quite a time, because once I graduated high school and then I got into college at 19 and 20, 18, 19, 20, spending all that time at the club. And then I just decided to drop everything and leave, and I went to California. where I was with my ex there for 8 years. And that was a very different time. Like, he was into metal and he had a band, and occasionally we'd go and he would do shows and I'd go and help them sell stuff. But that was like almost like another life, I guess, because I had to change everything about that I was doing. I even changed up my appearance so that I could fit a little better into what he was doing, to be their t-shirt vendor. And towards the end, before I left, I even did a project with him where I was singing in a metal project he was doing. But that was seriously right before things kind of started falling apart at home and I had to come home. Right before my dad passed away. And it really was the straw, the last straw. That, like, my dad passing away was the last straw that kind of made me go home. But I do have a couple of recordings of me singing. There's a video of me. I've got one vlog from that time, and then I've got one radio interview from that time. And I can link the vlog and the radio interview if you want to see some really, a really somewhat embarrassing video of me and my ex-boyfriend and our drummer at the time being goofy, or you want to hear me talking about our plans for that metal project that never quite got off the ground, y'all can do that. And I'll squeeze in a little place here and there to put in a bit of the song that I was singing in if you want. But honestly, it might be easier just to put a link to the video with the 2 songs that I was recorded singing on, so y'all can be judgy if you want to on that too. But I feel like it hasn't really been the same since I've been back in the city. For me, getting back into goth nights and stuff, I haven't really gotten back into going out the way that I did when I was a teenager, but I'm also a lot older now. I'm almost 40, and I don't have the energy that I used to, I'd like to get back into doing things more, but I guess it just, it's between money and time and energy, and I just don't have all of that all at the same time very often. So, but definitely my first experiences, my parents did definitely allow me to dress goth without being too upset about it. But I tried to be tactful about it. I would put on a corset and throw a t-shirt on over it so my parents wouldn't know I was wearing it. And take a large bag, or go over to my friend's place or take the corset to my friend's place, change there, then go to the club. Yeah, things like that. Throw the corset into a bag, go to the club, put the corset on at the club, or throw the t-shirt on over the corset and main outfit, then get to the club, take the t-shirt off, put that in my purse, and go in with it like that. I would kind of have to hide things. But we definitely, I had a lot of great, interesting growing up experiences with it. And I was pretty much a good kid. I made good grades in school. I was pretty well behaved. So they didn't really think I was up to anything bad, and I didn't come home smelling like drugs and, well, not drugs. What would drugs smell like? I didn't come home smelling like alcohol. And I didn't come in acting like I was high or drunk or anything. So it was enough for them that I didn't seem to be misbehaving. And I really wasn't, honestly. I was a pretty good kid, I'd like to think. There were a lot of things that went on. I don't know. But I like to think that I really wasn't that wild. I think I've gotten a lot wilder as far as things I'm willing to try now that I'm an adult. Now that I'm far into my adult years, there are things that I wouldn't even do even in my 20s. And even in my early 30s, things that I just wouldn't even entertain doing that I'm more willing to do now, I guess. So, a lot more open-minded. But I think that I did have a lot of opportunity to go and do things, and maybe if I had been misbehaving or doing things, that I still might have gotten away with doing it just because my parents trusted me. I never gave them a reason to question whether or not I was trustworthy in these situations. So, I feel like I was pretty lucky. There wasn't like no rules, and I certainly didn't have like a many years older sibling to be my guardian for these things. Like my sister was there, and she was like my partner to the club for at least the first year, and we ended up kind of going our different ways because my sister had a boyfriend, like an on and off boyfriend, who she ended up marrying, and and she got pregnant young and really couldn't be out doing that stuff at that point. But after that, like, I kind of lost her, which was a shame, because I kind of lost my partner in crime for a little while there. But I don't know. I had a pretty good time doing a lot of that stuff. But I know that parents have gotten a lot of things to be afraid of now, grown to have a lot of things to be worried about. I think the news and in the age of like cameras everywhere and all of that, and just I think the information travels faster. You hear more about things happening, and it's not because they're happening more. I think it's just that there's more news, there's more availability to hear these things, to know what's going on. Hearing about things happening in other places, happening all over the world. So, like, I don't really think that it's happening more often. I just think it's being heard about more. So, I don't know. I do feel like, to a point, I was pretty lucky to get away with doing these things, going out and going to clubs and stuff so early on. Something that I don't think a lot of kids get to do or got to do in my age group. Not everybody had parents that would let them go out and go to clubs like that just when they were 16 years old. So I'm gonna wrap it up though. If y'all have any questions or anything to add, y'all can go ahead and feel free to comment. As a given, like, subscribe, all that, garbage. But anyway, we'll see you next time.
Toxic runs, lost in my thoughts, caged by my mind, nowhere to run, nowhere to